you guys want to contribute our topics, have any questions, or just want to tell us what an amazing job we're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364252164. Now let's jump right into it. Today's topic is youth and financial management, and we have a real special guest for the show, Mr. Wilfred Shreyas. Now, before we start, I'll just give you a brief intro to Mr. Wilfred. Now, Wilfred Shreyas is an energetic and enterprising youth graduate from St. Joseph's College of Commerce. Further, he pursued his master's from National Law School University, Bangalore. So, he is a lawyer with his law degree from Karnataka State Law University. He is a blend of knowledge and creativity. Wilfred has covered over 18,000 students, motivating them towards a possible career path, giving talks on leadership, public speaking, career choices, etc. Now, enabling students to choose rightly and bridging the gap between their passion and career has been his prime focus area. Now, with prior experience as a content writer and subject matter expert with various publications, he has authored a book called Yes, I Am an Idiot, which remains very motivational and exceptional by many readers. He has also contributed to CA Foundation Business Law material published by Persons Publications. He is a TEDx speaker and has given talks on various platforms, including educational fairs and seminars organized by various media houses, including Public TV and Vijaya Karnataka. He was awarded the Best Speaker Award at the orientation program organized by the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. He is also a regular speaker on company law and fraud examination at various platforms. He has delivered talks at 100 stages, teaching being his passion. He's also coaches CA and CS students at various colleges, universities, and coaching centers across India, and is presently a professor of law and audit at JK Shah classes. He has judged over 50 plus national level business fests, compe- competitors, and moot courts. Previously, he has worked in the field of taxation with Deloitte. He is presently a director at Chokma Private Limited, Falholo Private Limited, and iSpeak Corporate Services, and one of the partners of at Sideways 6. It's indeed a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you, Yohann. Thank you so much. It's a privilege for me to be
So
here.
for this edition of yeah, so for this edition of the Reality Bang, Mr. Shreyas and I will be having a discussion regarding financial management and give you guys a better viewpoint about this topic. So my very first question is going to be, now, what kind of assets are the youth investing today?
To just before I go there, I think the youths have to be told what exactly is an asset. Most of them out there, particularly among the age of 21 upwards, because 21 you're just fresh out of college, 21, 22 you're fresh out of college, you have a job, and then you start seeing the first kind of money, and you're very happy. It's your own hard-earned money and everything. So the moment this comes, you would want to buy. And the first thing that few of them buy, not few of them, sorry, many of them buy is they tend to buy, maybe these fancy phones, or, there was a recent survey also which said there's a lot of youth who's spending lots on apparels. One day when I was shopping at this apparel store, on above the billing counter, it made an advertisement which says there were EMIs available for jeans pants. I was like, really, EMI for jeans pants? That's the other way of thinking, how youths are spending their money. Uh, they need branded products, or even if it have to say apparels, it includes even your footwear, maybe a t-shirt or a jacket. And buying these things on EMI, I don't know how sound of a financial decision it is. That is one. And secondly, these phones, and then after phones, they shift to bikes, and then they shift to cars. Now, whatever we spoke about till now, four things, that is maybe apparels or bikes or phones, these are not really assets. Okay. And sometimes when you choose
Yeah.
your phone, you would really want a luxurious, brand or something. These are luxury products, not necessarily, an asset. Sometimes bikes and cars, they can become an asset because of their, you know, rare, or let's say it's an antique collection. Let's say it's a really old bike and it was very rare and you bought it. It's some, the make and model and all of those things. Yeah, you can consider this to an extent to be an asset, but but not all of them tend to go this way. They want to buy something new, something fancy, something out there in the market. So finally, these things are not really assets. You spend, let's say, a lakh on a phone, and 6 months down the line, you go back to the same store with your phone. They won't even price it at maybe 25, 30,000. That's a loss of 70% in a period of 12 months. How is it your asset? Asset is something that grows in value or gives you something called as future economic benefits. But none of this tends to happen with any of these things. So youths really need to understand that investing in things like maybe your apparel or your phones or your bikes, you're not really creating assets. On top of that, for the ones who are going for an EMI on all these things, you're not creating asset, you're creating liabilities for yourself. And your whole, I don't know how many more years you're going to cover yourself in debts, in EMIs after EMIs. These are not assets, and you're not creating assets. I repeat myself, you are only creating liabilities for yourself. So first, you need to understand the difference between creating an asset and creating a liability. So yeah, I think I've answered the first one.
Yeah, but that was a very interesting take, to be honest. Now, moving on to the next question. Now, when is the right time to think about saving for retirement? Like, as you know, a lot of you these days, they think, okay, I should save for my retirement.
Yeah.
And why specifically?
Okay. Two ways to answer this. Firstly, a lot of them want to retire very soon. Okay, a lot of them want to really retire very soon. Okay, so some of them have targets of retiring at 40, 45. Good, well and good. You do so good. But my only question is, what after that? What after that? Okay, you've made a lot of money at 40, you're retiring, at 45, you're retiring. Let's say you buy yourself an island, you go sit in the island, and then what? Like, how long can you sit in front of the sea and enjoy the breeze? I think you got to do something, until your last breath. At least I function that way. Okay, so retirement is different for different people. It's subjective. But if you would, the other way of the question is not exactly retirement. Retirement basically means you sit at home, do nothing. The other way of putting the question is, you continue to work, you continue to do something, but not at the pace at what you were doing earlier. Okay, you're still doing
Yeah,
something, but a very reduced rate. At a certain point of time, I would like to put it this way: you are not really working, but your money is working for yourself. As in, you're not
yeah,
working harder, but your money is working harder for yourself. And in order to do that, I think you need to start saving very early. And just like I was saying, right, just the previous question, at 22 they're fresh out of college, and they start earning and everything, and they think they're buying assets and they make up creating liabilities instead of paying your EMIs. If you could divert that sum of money towards, let's say, paying your SIPs, or let's say creating a small fund for yourself. SIP is really good, and considering the power of compounding and how your small investments over a long period of time could compound and grow is phenomenal. I mean, the simple math says, considering a return of 15% per annum at the age of 20, maybe if you start investing roughly around 3,000 rupees per month, and if you continue to do this until you reach the age of 60 years old, at the age of 60, you're sitting on 10 crores. Okay, by just putting a simple 3,000 rupees every month. But let's say instead of 20, you start doing this at the age of 30. Your first SIP is at the age of 30. Then you will have to end up paying almost 14, 15,000 a month to retire at 60 with 10 crores. And let's say you do this at the age of 40, then your monthly SIPs will be somewhere around 65,000 to sit at 10 crores at the end of age 60. Some of them would be like, why do I have to wait till 60? I'm saying 60 because 60 is, that number where people say 60 is, when, I
Yeah.
retire, and I'm done with my work and everything. But I just would also want to, kind of stress on the fact that you start at 20, your monthly SIP is somewhere around 3,000 rupees. And if you're doing the same at 30, you're already spending 14,000 rupees per month. So, at what age to start saving for retirement, or at what age should I start doing this? I think the right time is now. Okay, you maybe your first pay itself, you can start saving. The faster you save, the lesser you'll have to contribute monthly towards this, and the sooner also you will sit on a huge amount of money. So yeah, that's how it works.
Hey, well, that was definitely a very, very good advice. Now, moving on to emergency funds and exactly that. So, what exactly is an emergency fund, and why is it important for one to especially have during your 20s?
I think the name itself says why or what it is. Okay, it is exactly how it sounds. It's an emergency fund because you use it at certain exigencies. We also call it contingent funds. And the usual advice that is given is how much of emergency fund you need to have. If that's the question, then it's the usual advice given is whatever is your expense per month. Okay, into 3 to 6 months. In other words, an emergency fund, the quantum of an emergency fund should be somewhere around 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses. Okay, so that should be the amount that is kept aside for your emergency. It could be anything. It could be, the most common would be, hospitalization of you or your family member, or it could also mean, suddenly something happened to your car, and you need to have some major repair, or your house maintenance, some big contingency that you really did not expect to
Yeah.
happen. And also, once you have started to save this particular I mean, set aside this emergency fund, it's also pertinent to know where you're putting this emergency fund. You cannot mess around too much with this emergency fund because you need it, and that's why you've kept it aside. So the best way, the best place that you can put it is somewhere, which may be a high interest paying fixed deposits, not in your
Okay.
savings account, because savings account is is too easy to access. It's too tempting,
Yeah.
because it's linked with your GPay or any UPI. So an FD
Yeah.
is more like, it's set aside, so it's not as easy as to access a savings account. FDs are also easily accessible, something, high paying interest. SBI is offering something at 7.1% if you choose that 444 days. Or the best way for people who are working, if you are working professionals, or wherever you're working, if you opt for an EPF, Employee Provident Fund, and if you just allow your money to pay, stay there, it's PF, the interest on PF amount is presently 8.25%, which is higher than most of your bank FDs. Or you could also
Yeah.
think of some NBFCs, some FDs at some NBFCs. Shriram Transport also offers a good interest, but SBI, or let's say this EPF accounts, is zero risk technically, so it's safe and you get a decent amount of returns also. So
Yeah.
both the way your target is achieved.
Okay, so now most people in their 20s, they always think about, okay, I have to get a good credit score. So how do young people in their 20s build their credit score to good numbers, and what exactly is considered a good number?
So basically, um, credit score is basically, for those of you, I mean, our listeners who technically do not know what's a credit score. For them, firstly, credit score is a rating on your financial capacity to pay back something. Okay, let's say, in other words, we call it credit worthiness, the ability to pay back a loan or a borrowing from a bank, financial institution. So it's like, college has cutoffs. There's 85%, 95%. to enter. So your credit scores, or what you call it, the CIBIL rating agencies and all that is your cutoff, whether the bank will or will not give you a loan. Okay, so this is just what a credit score is. Now, four best ways on how to improve your credit scores. Firstly, ensure that you clear your existing debts. Okay, ensure whatever debts you have, you clear it before you go on for another one. Secondly, pay your EMIs on time. It should really be on time, because and moreover, it's easier this way because you get a lot of these messages from these banks wherever you've taken these loans. They keep on sending messages 3 days
Yeah.
before. Keep it ready, keep it ready. Ensure your EMI is paid on time. And third one, borrow a mix of credit, not just on the same item, mix of credit. And the fourth one might look a little contradicting. The fourth one is ensure your credit utilization is kept at minimal. Okay, you don't go for an EMI until it's really necessary.
Okay.
Some of them will have really good credit scores, let's say 780. Anything above, 700, 720 is good. It's good as long as you're in green. That you'll show you can see the chart, right? As long as you're
Yeah.
in the green area, it's good. You can go up till 900. It depends on the agencies again, but any amount of any score until this is good. But with the present youth, going for EMI left, right, center, everything is on EMI today. It's just
Yeah.
not subjected to what they wear. Previously I was telling about the apparels. Watches are on EMI. Forget phones and bikes and cars. You have TVs on EMI. All of us want to have a bigger screen, and latest electronic gadget and everything. All it's fine, it's fantastic, and I mean, and nothing wrong in wanting these kind of stuff. But whenever you're paying these kind of EMI, the EMI should be like, an ant bite, like just a prick on your hand. It should not be like, your entire salary pay or whatever you're making per month is going on EMI. It's then what happens, just like most of the youth are suffering today, they're working not to feed the family or to anything, they're working to pay off their EMIs.
EMIs. Yeah.
And they want to quit, they want to try something else, they want to do something else, but they are unable to do anything else because they still have another EMI pending. And you have another kind of youth also who does something called as takeout finance. What is takeout finance? So basically, they will borrow money from one place,
Okay.
and they're unable to pay off that amount immediately because the deadlines and everything is over. They immediately run to another place, bank, financial institution, take money from there, only to clear the existing amount of borrowing that is already taken before. And this continues to be in perpetuity. So you take from here, you clear. You take from here, you clear. It becomes like a cycle, and it becomes very difficult for you to come out of this. It takes a really long time. So unless
Yeah.
and until your EMI is really necessary, you shouldn't go for it. Secondly, go for an EMI if the amount that you're paying is very little. I'm not saying pay a very reduced amount of EMI. I'm not saying that, because the lesser EMI you pay, the more the tenure will be more, and the interest that you pay out will be more. What I'm trying to say is,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
make so much money that your EMI, even though is a pretty huge chunk for somebody else, but it's not a huge chunk for you because you're earning that way. Okay, so but if your earnings itself is, let's say, 30, 40,000, and your EMIs are 25, 30,000, that makes no sense. But if you're earning, let's say, around a lakh, and your EMI is even 30,000, that shouldn't matter much because it's 30/70 ratio. You still have a lot of money at your dispense to put on your household expenditure and other things, and also save also. You could still have a good amount of money that is left out to invest on whatever medium that you've thought of. Um, Bottom line, credit scores can be improved, but once it is tanked, as in, once it goes low because of irregular payment of EMIs, insufficient balance in account, that could take a really long time to come back into the green area. So, firstly, it's ensure that you reduce your credit utilization. And I also advise people, please don't have credit cards. Like, just don't have credit cards. It's not a necessary. You have it, it's more tempting, swipe, 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 and only at
Yeah,
the end of the month when you see your, you know, when you see the mail or the message which says, so much is shopped this month, so much is the outstanding balance, you would realize when did I shop for 1 lakh, 2 lakh, because you would have bought in small, small amounts, and like they say, every drop counts. It would
yeah.
be a big amount at the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah, but just a side question now for people who haven't taken any EMIs, haven't taken any loans or anything like that.
Mm.
Would you recommend them also to start taking EMIs for them to build their credit score, or is that a different process?
Not necessarily, not necessarily. But it is the same question. If you really would want to improve your credit score, ensure whatever is you have taken is paid off. But let's say you're the first time taking, I think then banks would prefer looking at your what you say, the three
Income.
years 3 years ITR that is filed, or
Yeah.
your salary slips if you're working, or maybe your balance sheets if you're an entrepreneur or have any business of your. I think banks will suffice with this.
Okay. Yeah, that was very informative. Now, my final question would be now, why is investing so important, especially during this day and age? And which investment would you recommend for the youth today?
Mhm. Investment is really important these days. Um, I was reading a article on the Wall Street Journal. So the article was on the entire youth, particularly the married couple below the age of 35, 36 years old, how they are spending less and insisting their parents to spend less on marriages and put that amount on maybe a travel. And the same article also said people are buying less of these products, TVs, phones, and everything, and that putting those funds on travels. Traveling is not necessarily is actually not an investment per se. It's not an asset or anything of that kind, but it creates a lifelong memory that stays with you
Yeah.
forever. So I think one should ask himself whether he wants to create a happy memory or would want to have, a fancy TV or a phone. I don't think so. Nobody is going to ask you a question, how big is your TV, or which phone are you using. I think these questions are not the first ones that is asked. But anyways, it's again a very subjective question and individual choice. But beyond all that, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market with AI coming in, or the
Yeah.
layoff that is happening across the market being very fluctuative. Investing is always good so that you do not have to look for a very extreme option when you have created something for yourself already. And like I said earlier, it's very important for one to start investing at a very early age. The math don't lie, numbers don't lie, facts and figures don't lie. So you started very early. Even when there are days that you're not able to invest more, you already have done a lot of investment, and the power of compounding, it continues to grow. It continues to grow, double itself, triple itself. So investing is very important. At If somebody is at 20s, maybe mid 20s, um, or early 20s, you can take, it's okay for you to take risk. Okay, maybe if you're in your early 30s, then you're married, you have a kid, you know and you have aging parents, their medical expenses and all those things. So you cannot, a guy who is in his early 30s cannot take the kind of risk that a person who is in his or her early 20s can take. So the people who are in their early 20s, it's okay for them to take more of risk. So they could put more of their funds on maybe stocks, but as whatever is the kind of risk element that the person wants to take, whether he's a risk averse person or not, it's good to diversify your investments always. Maybe a good chunk of amount on your stock, a good amount on your SIPs, mutual funds, and also a good amount, fairly decent amount on in your FDs. So you could have these and keep something for yourself also. I'm not saying invest everything and not do anything. Please go on trips, please enjoy your life. Please go to restaurants whenever you want to feel. But this is going out and eating should not be an everyday kind of a thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
so each one should know, when is it right for him or her, his or her boundaries or plans for the future. Depending on that, it's something that should be considered. Um, each one's decisions that they're going to make in the future. But I think whatever is the decision to be made, whatever is the route map of a person's future, the next 5 year plan or 3 year plan, whatever it is, I think at least now you should know that there should be a good chunk of money that you're investing. Also there should be a good chunk of money that you're also spending. It shouldn't be too much spending and no saving. At the same time, it should be everything saving and nothing that you're doing for yourself. So
Yeah.
right, you know the right string should be played so that there's kind of balance in all of these things. And also
Yeah.
to
So that,
answer it,
yeah.
as you answer the last thing is, it's not necessary that you need to put your entire salary towards investment. Start with small amounts, start with very small amounts, maybe 2,000 a month, 5,000 a month, and then 10, depending on how much you're earning. Okay, start small, and you have the option of auto pay also. And when it goes on, goes up, sometimes if you're starting very small, you don't even you'll not even realize that that amount was cut. So you go on increasing your maybe investments or SIPs, and later you get used to it. Yeah,
So that was very informative, extremely, extremely informative. So that officially brings us to the end of today's show. And a huge thank you to Mr. Shreyas for joining the show and sharing this valuable knowledge to all of us.
yes, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for those wonderful questions, Yohann, and thank you, FEBA, also. Thank you. I hope it was informative and was of use to the listeners and viewers.
Yeah, it was very informative. So
Thank you.
remember, guys, we air on Mondays at 4:30 p.m. That's it. If you guys want to contribute to our topics, have any questions, or just want to tell us what an amazing job we're doing, you can reach out to us at 6364252164. And a huge thank you to our listeners for tuning in to this edition of The Reality Bang, your weekly dose of youth power, brought to you by FEBA Online. This is RJ Yohann. Hope you have an amazing week, and I'll see you next Monday. God bless you.